Okay, we're going to do lesson 14-2 together. We're working on line plots again. So you should have your book in front of you on page 809, and you should have already watched the video in Pearson Realize, the visual learning video that introduces the lesson. Okay, yesterday I asked you guys to send me your shoe length, so I have, sorry I wrote it really quick, it's not written very neatly, but everyone who replied to me before I did this video, I wrote down their measurements. So we're going to use that for our first question today. It says, measure the length of your shoe, then use your data and data from your class to make a line plot. Tell one thing you learned from the data. So we're going to use this data here, everyone who sent me a message yesterday, and we're going to put their information onto the line plot. So Sophia A was 10 inches. We're going to go above the 10, and we'll put an X or a dot above the number 10. I'm going to go back now and check mark that I did Sophia A, because I don't want to accidentally put her information in there 2 times, or I don't want to skip somebody. So you need to check mark your information as you're going along to keep you organized to make sure you don't make a mistake. So here we go. Isaac was 8. So I'm going to go above here, 8, and I'll put an X above the 8. Okay, trying to keep my X's in the same level here to make it neat. I'm going to check mark above Isaac's name that I've done him. Leslie was 9, so I'm going to find the 9, put an X on top of 9, and check mark Leslie's name. Madeline was 8. There was already an X here on the 8, so I make my second row on top of the first one. So now we have 2 people who measured 8. Put a check mark over by Madeline's name, showing that I completed hers on the chart. Okay, Elizabeth was 9, so I'm going to find 9, put an X above the 9. Now check mark her name. Sebastian was 7, so I'm going to put an X above the 7. Check mark his name. Melanie was 9, so I'm going to put a 3rd X here above the 9 and check mark her name. Sophia T was 8, so this one also has a 3rd X, so I'm going to put an X above the 8 and check mark. Esteban was 10, so I'm going to find 10, put an X on top of there. Check mark Esteban's name. Willie was 10, so again, I'm going to put an X above the 10 and check mark his name. Sophia R was 9, so I'm going to put an X above the 9. So I just finished my list, and now I need to look at this line plot, and what do I learn from looking at the line plot? What information does this tell me? I want you to write down, it's going to ask you in a question now, tell me one thing that you know by looking at this line plot. Okay, there are lots of things we could have written that we knew about this line plot. We could have said which was the most common number of inches. Which one had the most students measuring the same size? 9 was the most common. So I can say most students were 9 inches. Okay, which was the least number? 7. You could have written the least number of students had 7 students. Can I say how many students were measured? Yes, I can count them up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I could have written 11 students measured their shoe. Okay, great. Let's look on the next page. Here they had a table with how tall the students were in inches. And then they put all that information from the table into a line plot. Okay, and now let's answer this question that do you understand about this table and line plot. It says, how many students measured their height? Tell how you know. So, how do we know how many students measured their height? Okay, all you need to do is to count the dots to figure out how many students measured. So let's go ahead and count those. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Actually, before I count them, I want you to count them. Tell me, how many students measured their height? Okay, if you counted it up, you should have said 2 plus 3 more is 5, plus 4 is 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 students. So your answer should be 16 students measured their height. And then the second part, how do we know that? I counted the dots on the line plot. Okay, if you need to pause it to write this down, go ahead and pause the video. Let's now answer question 1. Use the table to make a line plot, then use the line plot to answer each question. They already did 3 dots here for us. So let's fill those in. 1, 2, 3 of them that were 4. So we need to cross out 3 of the 4s here. Cross those out so we don't do them again. Okay? Now, you have a choice of doing this. I can go in and I can count how many 5s there are and draw those dots, and then I can count how many 6s there are and draw those dots and X them as I go. I like to go in order. So I'm probably going to go across and then across and then across and then across. So let's do it that way. I have a 7, so I'm going to put a dot above 7, and I'm going to exit that I did it. A 5, I'm going to put a dot above the 5 and exit out. A 6, so I'm going to put a dot above the 6 and exit out. I just finished that first row. Now let's do the second row. A 9, put a dot above the 9, exit. 7, put a dot above the 7 and exit. 6, put a dot above the 6 and exit. If I'm going too fast for you, you can go ahead and pause the video if you need to get caught up. Okay, I'm moving on to the third row. I have another 6, so I'm going to put a 6 dot above the 6 and I'm going to X. Now, if you notice, my third dot's a little bit higher than this third dot. Is that going to make me think that this has more than that? It probably will. So I'm going to erase my dots and try to line them up a little bit more even, so that way I don't think that 6 has more than 4. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing on my 7 dot. I'm going to move it down a little bit, so it's right along the same line as this one, because I don't want to think that there's more 7s than there are on the other numbers. Okay? All right, an 8. I'm going to exit out and put a dot above the 8. A 6, I'm going to exit out and put a dot above the 6. I only have one more row to go. A 7, exit out, put a dot above the 7. Okay, and you notice this is 3 dots, the same as these 3 dots. So I'm trying to make them even going across here. A 5, put a dot, exit out. An 8, put a dot, exit out. And a 6, put a dot, and exit out. Okay, now we can answer the questions. What is the most common feather length? They did that for us. We can see 6 was the most common. It had the most dots above it. So most of those feathers were 6 centimeters. So we're going to say the most common was 6 centimeters. Why does the number line use the numbers 4 through 9? Why did they start at 4 and end at 9? Okay, they started at 4 and ended at 9 because those were the measurements of the feathers. There weren't any feathers that were smaller than 4, and there weren't any feathers that were bigger than 9. So, we'll say it uses 4 through 9 because the smallest was 4. Actually, I should say shortest. The shortest was 4, and the longest was 9. Okay, we don't need to have our number line be smaller than 4, and we don't need to have it go bigger than 10. Bigger than 9. Okay, next page. Measure the length of your pencil in centimeters. Collect pencil length data from your classmates. Make a line plot with the data. So again, I don't have everybody's measurements here, so I'm just going to grab a couple different pencils that I have in my drawer, and we'll just measure those. Okay, we're going to use centimeters. So first we'll do this, make sure my ruler's on the centimeter side, centimeter. And I'm going to use this pencil that I've been using, starting at the 0. Okay, can you see that close? How many centimeters right here? I'm not sure if you can see it on the video. It is not quite at the halfway mark. So I'm going to mark this as 18. Okay, so my first one, I'm going to put an 18 here. I'm not going to label this yet because I don't know what my smallest one's going to be and what my biggest one's going to be. So first, I'm just going to write down my first one's 18. Okay. Next pencil that I had, starting at the 0. This one goes right up here to the 15. So let's write down 15 as our next number. All right, put this pencil to the side. Now I have this pencil. Starting at the 0. This one is also, it's not quite 15, but it's bigger than 14 and a half. So I'm going to go ahead and round it up to 15. This one was also 15. And my last pencil that I have here, starting at the 0. This one's even longer. Let's see, this one is exactly 17 and a half, so I'm going to round that up to the 18. Okay, let's go ahead and put these on the line plot. What should our title of this line plot be? What are we measuring here? We are measuring pencil lengths. So we're going to write down pencil lengths. What did we use to measure the pencils? Did we use centimeters or inches? We used centimeters. So down here, we're going to label this as the number of centimeters. So each one of these numbers, it means that many centimeters. Okay? Now I know my smallest one has to be 15. My largest has to be 18. So just in the middle here, I only need a few numbers. I can go 15, 16, 17, and 18. Okay, I don't need anything else. And I can go ahead and put this data on my chart. My first pencil that I measured was 18. I'll put a dot right there. And I'll check off that I did that number. This second one was 15. I will put a dot. And I will check it off. I have another 15, so now that one has 2 dots, and check it off. And my last one was also an 18, so I'll put a dot and check it off. Okay, don't forget to go through and check off to make sure you don't make a mistake. Okay, now let's answer the questions. What is the length of the longest pencil? The longest one, the one that's highest on the number line, was 18 centimeters. What is the length of the shortest pencil? Let's look at my number line. The shortest pencil was 15 centimeters. Number 7, what is the difference in the length between the shortest and the longest? We need to compare. They want to know the difference between the shortest and the longest. Do we add or subtract when we're comparing? You need to subtract. So I'm going to take the longest was 18 minus the shortest that was 15, and it equaled 3 centimeters. Don't forget to put your unit. We're talking about centimeters right now. What is the most common pencil length? Well, here it was a tie. They both had the same number. So we're going to say the most common, but was 16 common? Was 17 common? No. So the most common was 15 or 18. It was both of them because they tied. Okay, use these words to complete the sentence. A blank can help you see the data in blank. Okay, what's helping us see data? A line plot helps us see data. So we're going to say a line plot can help you see the data in longest or in order. In order, that's what makes sense. A line plot makes it easy to see the shortest and longest, does make sense, objects. Okay, back side. Use the data in the table to complete the line plot. Then use the line plot to solve the problems. Okay, we are measuring, looking at the table. These are crayon lengths. So our title should be crayon lengths. The label is what did we use to measure? We measured it in centimeters. So we're going to say number of centimeters. Okay, what's our smallest number? Just looking over at the chart, it looks like our smallest number is a 5. The smallest number is 5, so I'm going to start here at 5. What's the largest number? Looking at our table that we have, I see an 8. Is our number bigger than 8? Nope. So 8 is our biggest. So our line plot just needs to go from 5 to 8. And we'll just put 6 and 7 in the middle of those. Okay, now go ahead and you can pause the video. I want you to put all of these numbers in the line plot. I'm going to go ahead and do mine really fast, and then we'll see if you get the same thing as me. All right, 6, 6, 7, 7, 5, 5, 6, 6, 7, 7, 5, 5, 7, 7, 6, 6, 7, 8, 6, 5, another 5, a 6, a 7, another 6. Oh, I'm starting to run out of room here. An 8, another 8, another 6, and an 8. Okay, I'm all done with mine. Now that you're done with yours, let's check. Your line plot should have 4 above the number 5. It should have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 dots above the 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 dots above the 7. And 1, 2, 3, 4 dots above the 8. Okay, now then we can answer the questions. How many crayons are longer than 5 centimeters? Okay, these crayons are not longer. They are exactly 5. These are longer. Are these longer? Yes. Are these longer than 5? Yes. So we need to add up all of these because all of these are longer than 5. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 plus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 plus 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, 5 plus 4 is 9, and 9 plus 7 is 16. So we're going to say 16 crayons are longer than 5 centimeters. And we explained how we knew by this equation. That's how we knew. So if you need to pause the video to write it, that's fine. Okay, and now the last question. Measure the length of the blue crayon to the nearest centimeter and write the length below. So let's measure in centimeters. How many centimeters is the blue crayon? It is 6 centimeters. Okay, then record your measurement in the line plot above that you made on item 10. So we're going to go here to this line and plot, and we are going to put one more dot here above the 6. Okay, you're all done for your lesson today. You're going to do your homework, take a picture of it, and send it to me.